Good evening, you're watching The Buck Stops Here and I'm Barkha Dutt. On the program this evening, we begin with a global exclusive. Hillary Clinton is about to demit office as Secretary of State of the United States and her approval ratings are soaring. Many people believe that despite her denials, she will be back in political action in 2016 and will run for president. Well, in one of her final global town halls, where Hillary Clinton took questions from countries across the world, there were 6 anchors selected to quiz the Secretary of State. I was one of them, along with a small audience of young students. Hillary Clinton spoke to us on a range of subjects, from whether she'll run in 2016 to whether David Headley got away lightly, what about bringing the perpetrators of 26/11 to justice, and what it means to be a woman in politics. Hillary Clinton speaking to us on a global town hall just minutes ago.
We will pick up instead in New Delhi to NDTV, which is one of India's top broadcasters, and presenter Barkha Dutt, India's top female journalist and news anchor who did one of these events with you, Secretary Clinton, last year. Barkha, are you there with us?
News anchor who did one of these events with you, Secretary Clinton, last year. Barkha, are you there with us?
I absolutely am. And Secretary Clinton, good evening from India. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking with you again. We all remember that wonderful town hall with you in Kolkata on your last trip here to India. I have here with me a bunch of very bright young students, all itching to ask you a question. But before I take my microphone to the students, just by way of comment, Secretary Clinton, I know despite all your denials, all of us are waiting to see you back in political action in 2016 as possibly the United States' first woman president. So I'm not saying that as a question, I'm just observing that we think that might happen. Great to have you on the show, Secretary.
Good to see you again. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Thank you so much.
I noticed that you didn't answer that, and we'll try and get a little more out of you.
That's why you're
as this
such a
program
good
goes
journalist,
along.
Barkha.
We have a lot of people here. We have a lot of people
That's
here.
why you're such a good journalist, Barkha.
Thank you. And I will probe that a little further, but I'm going to hand over the mic to a young boy on my right who has a question for you, Secretary Clinton.
Thank you. Good evening, ma'am. My question concerns the recent Richard Headley case and the sentence that was handed out. David Headley case and the sentence that was handed out to him. Given that he's pleaded guilty to conspiracy in the 26/11 attacks, why is America so hesitant to extradite him to India?
Well, that is not directly under my jurisdiction, but I will say this. There was an intensive amount of investigation and interrogation of him by Indian authorities as well as American authorities. A lot of useful information was obtained, and I think that this sentence represents both the punishment that he richly deserves for his participation, but also a recognition of the role that he has played and is expected to continue to play in supporting Indian and American efforts to prevent the kind of horrific attack that occurred in Mumbai.
Secretary Clinton, if I can just pick up on that question by this young boy here. I know that when we were doing the town hall in Kolkata, you assured Indians that it was you who had cleared the $10 million bounty on Hafiz Saeed's head, who, as you know, is a key architect of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the terrorist group. You also spoke about al-Zawahiri being in Pakistan, according to your information. I know a lot of people in India want to hear from you tonight. When you look back at your term, are you satisfied satisfied with the success that you were able to achieve in bringing the perpetrators of 26/11 to justice? Or are you left with a sense of regret? Are you left with a sense that more could have been done and somehow you didn't have enough time or weren't able to put enough pressure on Pakistan to get it done?
Well, Barkha, I think it is unfinished business that we are not in any way walking away from. I'm leaving office, but I can assure you and the Indian people, this remains one of our very highest priorities. We were successful in capturing and eliminating a number of the most dangerous terrorists who have safe haven inside Pakistan. We have continued to press the Pakistani government because, of course, the terrorists inside Pakistan are first and foremost an ongoing threat to the stability of Pakistan, and they need to deal with it because of that, as well as the implications for India, Afghanistan, the United States, and elsewhere. I also think that the efforts that both Prime Minister Singh and President Zardari in Pakistan have made to improve communication, business, trade, commerce between India and Pakistan helps to create a more receptive environment for dealing with these serious threats. So of course I'm not satisfied. As I told you in Kolkata, I believe going after terrorism is an obligation of every country, everywhere, every sensible person. We can have disagreements, but they cannot be in any way using violence or condoning the use of violence. So, we're not giving up. We are on this job literally every single day, and we've improved our information sharing, our law enforcement cooperation with India. And I think that will pay dividends in years to come.
Thank you for those frank comments, Secretary. I'm going to take the mic now to another young boy here who has a question, not on politics, but actually related to gender, which I know that you feel very strongly about. And as you must know, we've been seeing street protests by young students here related to the horrific gang rape that took place in Delhi recently. And gender rights are really on the top of public consciousness here in India. So a question from this young boy here.
So my question to you is this. Why is it that women in politics, even in supposedly progressive societies like the United States, have to conform to masculinist and privileged constructions of a statesman and the public sphere? And I must ask you, how difficult is it for a woman politician to access a political space that is heavily gendered and that dictates how a woman leader has to behave and conduct herself?
That could be a topic for a whole show because it's a profound question. But let me make two brief points. First, although it is better than it was, having been in and around politics for many years now, there is still a double standard. And it is a double standard that exists from the trivial, like what you wear, to the incredibly serious, like women can't vote, women can't run for office, women are not supposed to be in the public sphere. But there is a spectrum of the double standard and of the both legal and cultural barriers to respect for women, for the full participation of women. So we do have a ways to go. And even in democracies, and a democracy like yours, unlike mine, that's had a woman leader and has a woman at the head of the current governing party, where women have achieved a lot of political success, there is still a tremendous amount of discrimination and just outright abuse of women, particularly uneducated women, women who can't stand up for themselves, but clearly, even as we saw in the terrible gang rape, a woman trying to better herself, go to school. Secondly, this has been the cause of my life and will continue to be as I leave the Secretary of State's office, because we are hurting ourselves. The young woman who essentially was raped and then died of her terrible injuries, who knows what she could have contributed to India's future? When you put barriers in the way of half the population, you in effect are putting brakes on your own development as a nation. And there's more than adequate research to prove this, but just in a personal, everyday life example, I'm looking at one of the leading journalists in the world, certainly one of the leading journalists in India, Barkha. She brings to her job her experiences that are then infusing the coverage that she provides. And if you lose that kind of perspective, you are really doing a disservice to your society. So I personally was very encouraged and even proud to see young men and young women out in the streets protesting the way that young women are treated by men who do not understand or have never been taught to accept that it's not just their sisters and their mothers that they should respect, but all girls and women. So I'm looking for big changes in India in the years to come.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton, and thank you, Barkha, and our friends in India.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for Retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.